Hello everyone, I'm Jaden. Today I will share you our research about the effect of noise on the auditory sensitivity of the bluegill sunfish. The auditory sensitivity is its hearing ability. Okay. And first, I want to talk about noise. Where is the anthropogenic noise from? Anthropogenic means it's not natural, it's made by people. So the first example is underwater explosion and air gun. It's for seismic survey. Okay, and the next one is, I think it's a very hot issue in Taiwan. It's offshore wind power. And the last one is my future job. Okay, oil and gas production. They all give a huge noise to the ocean organism. Okay, let's introduce bluegill sunfish. Its habitat is from southern Canada here to northern Mexico, okay, and including the Midwest and eastern region of the America. So it's kind of the whole United States, right? And next, bluegill sunfish is an important sport fish in the USA. What is sport fish? In Asia, we don't know that, but in the USA, fishing is a sport for them. So bluegill sunfish is one kind of fish they when doing fishing. Okay, and it's a teleoid fish, also called bony fish. What is teleoid fish? Unlike shark, it has bone. Okay, so it's a teleoid fish. And the last one is the important one for our research. It's a hearing generalist fish. What is hearing generalist fish? It's a fish with the narrower bandwidth of hearing. Okay, typically able to detect sounds in a narrow frequencies. So like the fishes above this line, okay, like dab, salmon, eel, shark, and do not notice this, most fish are hearing generalists, okay, and the other one is hearing specialist. It's fish with a broader hearing range and detecting sounds about 1.5 kilohertz, like carp, coal, and herring. Okay, so the two main purposes of our research is about examining the immediate effects on noise exposure using various exposure duration, like 2 hours, 4 hours, and 8 hours, and 24 hours. Second is assessing recovery of auditory threshold, hearing ability, right? After exposure to 24 hours of white noise using ABR recording technique. So what we have to prepare, of course, bluegill sunfish, and is in the range of this total length, and in this range of wet body weight, and it's obtained from a local hatchery because we don't want it has a various environment. Okay, and white noise exposure and ABR recording technique. So the first experiment is to divide fishes into groups. Groups of bluegill sunfish were exposed to various duration of noise, ranging from 2 to 24 hours, and in different frequencies. And the second experiment is to examine recovery of its hearing ability after 24 hours of noise exposure after 1 day, 2 days, 4 days, and 6 days to observe its recovery. Okay, and the result of experiment 1. Like this figure show that the result from 24 hours of noise exposure, and the black point is the original one, the baseline, and the white line is the result. So you can see that there is a slight elevation, but it's very small, right? So none were significantly different. So it's demonstrated that it does not significantly elevate its hearing ability after 24 hours noise exposure. And in the experiment 2, we can see its recovery after 1 day, 2 days, 4 days, and 6 days. But I think this figure is not quite easy to read, right? So we remove other line and keep one line left. So we can see that the baseline is here, and it's 24 hours noise exposure enough. It's a slight elevation, and although they're not statistically non-significant, but you can see that it's a recovery. It kind of find a balance during its recovery of hearing ability. So the conclusion as a sentence is a noise source does not affect all fishes. Because we say that most fish are hearing generalist fish, right? So a noise source does not affect all fishes. And the result of the study indicate that the bluegill sunfish hearing ability is affected by the exposure very smallly. Okay? The effect is based on variation in the fish's auditory capability of different species. So this finding emphasizes the importance of considering differences in auditory ability of fishes when examining deleterious effect of intense noise exposure, whether behaviorally and physiology. So not all noise is bad for the fishes. Maybe it doesn't matter. Okay. Thank you for listening.
I want to ask what is that have impact on animal behavior? Like what is the difference between each species?
Do you understand his question?
Can you repeat again?
Is that has the impact on?
That means what?
Oh, the sound, the white noise, or other other sound can make impact on animal behavior, or
Repeat this question.
Okay. How the noise impacts the behavior of fish, right? Okay. In our conclusion, we say that maybe other research say that noise can affect the behavior of fish, but in our research, we saw that the hearing ability cannot be affected by the noise.
Hey, can you tell me why the paper chose the noise sound pressure level in the 140 dB? Because in my experience, the airgun or the marine engineering is over 160 dB. And if you choose the 140 dB as a noise, it might be uncurious.
Okay, why we choose noise at 142 decibels?
Yes.
Okay, and because we know that the original hearing ability of bluegill sunfish is about 120 decibel. So the sound of in 142 decibel quite different for land. So I think it's work for them to hear this sound.
What does the sound mean to the bluegill fish? It is for communication as we humans do, or it is for other purpose, specific purpose.
Repeat.
Okay, does the sound for bluegill sunfish is to communicate or which purpose, right? So in our research, we just give them a white noise and use the ABR technique to know the data, to select the data when the fish hear this sound. Okay. So we don't know the sound of for bluegill sunfish is to used to communicate or do what behavior.
Why do you only choose the weight of fish only 5 to 20 grams, not all size of this fish?
Okay, why we choose this range of body weight of fish? Because we want to keep the sample as the same situation. If it's too big, it might be old, and its hearing ability might be lower than normal. Okay.
Do you know how do these source levels, sound pressure level counted? Because different counting method causes a large effect with the sound pressure level value.
Sorry, what level?
Counting method. There has many methods with counting sound pressure level. Do you know the paper use which?
Sorry, I don't know that.
All right. First of all, you see that I think the introduction was really nicely done. So he used a lot of images to support his story. So it's easy for you to understand what he was really mentioning. And then you also notice that he stands in front of the desk. He was trying to interact with you or allow you to see his body language. So that's something that's also very nice. And another good thing of his presentation is also he tried to make some figures himself. So because I assume that in the original paper the data was probably not easy to read. So these are all good things for his presentation. So what can be improved? The first thing is about the content. So because you chose a topic which is about bioacoustics, and then there are some terms which was actually, although I know the word itself in English, I don't really understand what it's really meaning in this context. For example, here, purpose, maybe. Okay, so first of all, what do you mean by auditory thresholds? Because thresholds, to me, that usually mean a number. Because we know there is a standard there, a number there, and over that threshold or below that threshold, we can compare. But we will know by comparing to that number. So how do you know it's, what is the auditory threshold? And then the second question to me when I was reading the paper or listening to your talk is, how do you know there is recovery? So it's not, and this is related to this paper where, this figure, where you talk about recovery, but actually to me, I don't understand. If there is recovery, then how would this curve look like if there is no recovery? So that's something that needs clarification next time. It's not self-clear to me because although I know the word recovery, the word threshold, I don't know what you mean in your story, what that mean in your story. And then the next thing is, again, for bioacoustic papers, please explain the axis. And then I don't know what's SPL. So that's something that was not introduced in this, when doing your presentation, you only introduced the white dots, black dots. So that needs to be clarified. And then in your topic, you firstly talk about this figure, and then you talk about this recovery, although at the end you focus on this one. And then we come to this conclusion. That was actually a bit out of sudden to me. Because when I was reading the text, again, the conclusion is a little bit too wordy and literary. So this is actually not written for spoken language, so you need to make it easier, use your own words. And here, the effect is based on blah, blah, blah of different species. Then this really makes me wonder, what do you mean by different species? I thought we are only talking about this species of fish. So, and then that's actually related to the paper itself. So here in this paper, they actually compare. I know you have, in a way, removed the other data, but considering that your talk was not long enough, you should discuss. You should discuss. In this original paper, they actually compare this bluegill sunfish with another species from another study. So if you want to draw this conclusion, you have to make sure each point in your conclusion slides were supported by the data presented in your talk. So you need to present more. Take a look. Okay, so yeah, I think you can you can add more because there are not so many figures. So you should present this figure and that figure, this figure and this figure. All right. So that's about the content, and then there are some small things. So for example, here you I don't know if I can find it. Here you present this word. How do you present that? How do you pronounce that? Bandwidth. Bandwidth. And then there's another place where you say, this is actually not good. This kind of abbreviation should be avoided in an official occasion like this lecture. So you should always print it is. Do not use abbreviation like it's weird or this. This kind of abbreviation is unofficial and should be avoided. All right. Okay, so next time I hope that you can put more content into this talk and make sure your conclusion can be rephrased. For example, like this. This is definitely not for spoken language. Deleterious. can just say bad effect, right? You don't need to say deleterious. So that's why I mean literally. So you should use easier words. Don't use this. This must be from the paper, I guess. Okay, thank you, Jaden.